Welcome to Colombia! Welcome, wonderful people all over the world. My name is Frank, I'm Swiss. I came to Colombia in 2015 and I run a travel agency in Bogota. Today, the newest news update for travelers all over the world, and the agenda is a little bit about my travel agency and videos. Then we have an elephant in the room. And what do you need to know, and also what do I expect, what's going to happen here in Colombia. Then we have a little bit about COVID, and then outlook of COVID and general outlook. So stay tuned with me and don't miss any valuable information. So let's start. The ones that are following my YouTube channel, that are subscribers, many thanks here already to all my followers. You might have realized that I didn't publish any travel videos the last 2 weeks. I was not able to travel a lot in the last year and probably will not travel a lot in the beginning of this year, because I'm also going back to Switzerland for 3 weeks in April after 4 years not seeing my home country, my second home country. So the plan is to start traveling and shooting videos again in the second half of this year. So you will not see many publications, some travel updates, and that's it for the first 6 months. So to give you a little bit of an update of what I have seen last year and this year in terms of travelers. Last year there was a little increase in travelers here in the city center of Bogota, but also people traveling with me here around Colombia. And starting this year, I saw a big increase on a low level actually of people interested in traveling to Colombia. So we see more or less a normalization, or we're going towards a normalization, but it depends a lot on all the countries and their COVID measures. So this is really very, very connected. So let's talk already about the elephant in the room, the upcoming elections here in Colombia. We actually are facing 2 elections. We have the first on the 13th of March in 2 weeks. Those will be congressional elections, and then in May, June, we are going to have presidential elections. Very interesting times here in Colombia. To give you just a little background, I cannot elaborate too much on it, otherwise I would be here for 2 hours and boring you with lots of information, but just giving you a little heads up. So we saw demonstrations starting in late 2019 before COVID, but then came Christmas and then COVID. So all those demonstrations vanished actually, and then last year on the 28th of April, we started to see again demonstrations all over Colombia, mostly in Cali, and quite tough demonstrations. The government sent the police and there was shooting, and we had about 80 deaths and hundreds people vanished. So it was quite a strong confrontation between the government and the protesters. We had road blockages all over Colombia. The Buenaventura main port was closed because of the manifestations in parts of the Coffee Triangle. There was no gasoline, no food, so it's quite intense. And you have to imagine 50% of the population is below 30 and they're demanding opportunities, a new social contract. That's it. So this is a little bit the background of the reasons of the demonstrations. So what do you need to know? A little bit of context here in Colombia. So Colombia is controlled as many Latin American countries since decades by establishment, political and economical establishment, and they maintain power. Currently, they have power over the Congress and also presidency and all the institutions. And as you can imagine, it's always about the same. It's about money and power. And it's impressive. As a Swiss living here in Colombia, the amount of corruption you hear every day, it's just overwhelming. It's unbelievable from what you see and from what you hear all the time. But I guess this is only the tip of the iceberg. Also, Colombia is a country with over 5 million displaced people. This is, I think, number 2 in the world, so it's a huge number. And inequality is also huge. And there is a kind of class system here in Colombia, and it's very complicated. So the new social contract the people are demanding for is just pointing to all those topics and the things that are going wrong in this country. So what do I actually expect here to come in Colombia? Until elections, I think we will see some demonstrations all over the country, mostly in the big cities. Also, we heard from the ELN, so this is a guerrilla group, that they want to do some attacks in Bogota, Cali, Medellin, Barranquilla. We heard that many times before, nothing happened, but you never know. There's also a possibility of seeing false flag operations. That means that the people in power or the government or whoever, that they actually will perform some violent attacks, disturbances or whatever, and saying it was some other party. This happens all over the world all the time. We know many wars started like this, so nothing unusual. And here in Colombia, they're also quite used to that stuff. As we're going to have congressional elections, and the Congress is where the actual power lies, the establishment will take all measurements to maintain power and to maintain their people in Congress. So I think what we are going to see is sometimes after elections and showing the results that there will be reports of buying votes, electoral fraud, everything you can think of will pop up. And then of course the government will say everything is fine, we're investigating and everything is good, and so on and so on. And I think this will be the moment when some independent journalists will start also to show clear cases of corruption and fraud. And then I think people will start organizing and going on the street. And then we have various options. So one will be that the government institutions will do their work and uncover everything that happened during the elections. This is very unlikely because the establishment is controlling everything and all the institutions. Then we will have demonstrations that will go on and after some time will fade away. I don't think so. Then we have the possibility of demonstrations that go violent, and then the government will of course send the police and the special forces of police and then even the military. And also possibility that they will cancel the presidential elections and the current government will maintain power for an undefined period of time. Also possibility. And in worst case, those are all possibilities. In worst case, I see a civil war coming. Because right now for me the feeling is a little bit like Arabian Spring. The establishment did not feel and realize that the population is really unhappy and now are willing to invest a big effort to bring systemic change into this country. So, worst case, civil war. I don't hope so, of course, but I think it's within the options we are facing here in Colombia. And you also have to see, we have many different interest groups here in Colombia maintaining the power. We have the people, the population. We have the establishment. We have, of course, the USA, the US government, and also at the same time the multinational. And then we also have the producers of the white powder, of course. They have a huge power here within the country. And then, of course, we also have today Russia and China expanding all over the world in the look for natural resources. So you see we have many interest groups here in Colombia, and Colombia is a very interesting country. So rich, so many natural resources, access to two seas. It's an incredible country. So it's geopolitically, it's also quite interested. And somebody told me that the US government has about 20,000 people here. It's kind of the Latin American base for all operations. And they also have military bases, I think. So you see, many points of tensions here around. So first elections on the 13th of March, and then if that goes more or less okay, then we will see in May and June presidential elections, again with a lot of potential for violence, because the current candidate with most positive feedback from the population is Petro, and the establishment doesn't like Petro, as it seems. They say always he will turn Colombia into a new Venezuela. We'll see. So it's impossible to predict where we're going, but all the options are possible. So let's see. And expect the worst and hope for the best. Then let's change to COVID. I would say there's not so much stuff to say. It's still the same. If you're 18 and above, as a tourist, you need to have your vaccine shots, at least 2, longer than 14 days. Then you can travel into the country without issues. If you have just 1 shot, but you need at least 1 shot within 14 days, then you will need to have a PCR test 72 hours before. So this is just for normal travelers. There are more rules, but I think it's not worth telling here. Then there is no recovered status here in Colombia. As I said, for people with the visa, it's different, like me. And then there is this funny check-me form which is working or not working depending on the day and the hour. So if you face issues with the check-me form, try your mobile phone, your computer, different browsers. Sometimes they suspend the use of the check-me form when it's not working technically, and sometimes they will reinstate it, and it's a mess, but this is how it is. And then face mask is obligatory everywhere as soon as you leave the hotel. Your recommendation: in public, in nature, in the forest, face mask. So there is some development on the mandatory face masks all over the place. A couple of days ago, the mayor of Bogota, Claudia Lopez, communicated that she wants in open air delete the face mask mandate for fully vaccinated people. Yeah, follow the signs. Who was your advisor? Justin Trudeau, I guess. Okay. Then also the president, he said a couple of days ago, he wants to release the face mask mandatory in open spaces for towns, cities and areas where the vaccination rate is more than 70%. So let's see, right now there is no change, but in the future that might change, that you will have certain areas with mandatory face masks and other areas without mandatory face masks. Makes absolutely sense, right? You can have your own thoughts about that, but it is how it is. General outlook. Although we are currently facing many issues and uncertainties here in Colombia, Colombia remains a fantastic country for traveling. We have everything. Colombia is so rich and so interesting, and you can find almost everything, and it's such a beautiful country. But currently I advise all people that contact me, that want to travel with me, wait until June, and then we will check what's the situation, how it's going to be before traveling to Colombia. I have currently clients, they come and travel to Colombia in April. It's your own risk, you can do it. Get yourself prepared to leave the country immediately. To react, however, situation can change every day, I think. So if you can avoid, don't come to Colombia now, wait until June. If you still want to come, you want to take the risk, buy yourself a good insurance and make sure you're really flexible. And then yes, in June we will see if they will not burn down the country. The second half of 2022, I think, will be a great time for tourism here in Colombia. And tourism is also something that will stabilize the country, and even more, it will help the regions to develop, stabilize the region, and also for conservation. And you need to know, Colombia is the second most biodiverse country in the world after Brazil. For saving this biodiversity and everything, tourism can play a main part. That's it from today. If you have any questions, observations or whatever, write them down in the comment sections. Also, if you're looking for more information about Colombia, you will find the links of my websites down in the description sections. You have some great information. We wrote so many blogs in 5 languages. Hope to see you soon here in Colombia or in April in Switzerland, and see you soon here back on my channel, or even better here in Colombia. All the best, yours Colombia Frank. Bye bye.